no matter how hard you chase them. What if the key to getting everything you want isn't more effort, more striving, or more control, but the exact opposite, drawing from the deepest insights of the human psyche, as explored in psychology? The greatest truths reveal themselves when we stop seeking externally and start understanding ourselves. Today, we're going to explore why everything you truly want in life comes not when you need it, but when you need nothing, and how mastering your inner world opens the door to unlimited possibilities. You see, the moment we cling desperately to what we want, we unknowingly build walls between ourselves and the very thing we seek. It's a strange paradox, but one that life reveals again and again. The more we chase, the more elusive it becomes. When we desire something with intensity, our mind creates tension. We become fixated, and that fixation generates fear, impatience, and even doubt. We start questioning our worth, our timing, or the fairness of the universe. And in that state, we are vibrating on a frequency of lack. We are broadcasting, quite unconsciously, "I do not have this, I am incomplete without it." And the universe, in its perfect wisdom, responds accordingly. The very energy of need repels what we think we desire. Now, this does not mean we should abandon ambition or cease dreaming. Desire itself is not the enemy. It is the way we orient ourselves toward life, the compass pointing us toward our purpose. But when desire transforms into need, when we feel incomplete without a specific outcome, we are no longer moving from inspiration, we are moving from desperation. And desperation, my friends, is never magnetic. It pushes the universe away, no matter how pure the intention behind it may be. Imagine for a moment a tree in full bloom. The tree does not chase the sunlight, it grows naturally toward it. It does not worry about bearing fruit, it simply nurtures its roots, it stretches its branches, and in due season, the fruit comes effortlessly. We are no different. When we release the compulsive need for outcomes and cultivate ourselves from within, our minds, our hearts, our inner being, life begins to respond. The fruit we desire arrives, often in ways far more beautiful and abundant than we could have imagined, precisely because we are no longer grasping, no longer forcing, no longer trying to control a process that is infinitely larger than ourselves. The irony is that the less we need something, the more it seems to appear. This is not magic, it is a law woven into the fabric of existence. When we approach life from a place of wholeness, rather than deficiency, we vibrate at a frequency that resonates with abundance. The universe does not withhold from those who want. It withholds from those who cling. Wanting is natural, needing is limiting. Wanting invites creativity, inspiration, and alignment. Needing invites tension, frustration, and missed opportunities. And so, the first step is awareness. You must see the patterns in your own mind. Notice the moments when your heart races not from excitement, but from anxiety about not having enough. Observe when your thoughts loop endlessly around outcomes, when your energy is consumed by what you lack rather than what is already within you. This is not condemnation, it is clarity. Once you see it, you can choose to shift it. You can choose to want without needing, to dream without desperation, to act without attachment. You can allow your desires to guide you without letting them control you. In this space of non-need, life unfolds differently. Opportunities emerge that were invisible before. Relationships deepen without manipulation or expectation. Goals are achieved without struggle or force. And perhaps most profoundly, you find peace in the present moment, in the fullness of who you are right now. Peace is the hidden key that opens doors to all the things we thought we had to chase. When you are content in the now, the universe sees that you are ready, that you are aligned, and it delivers not only what you desire, but what you truly need to grow, to thrive, and to shine. So, let go of the desperation. Let go of the grasping. Release the compulsion to fill a void with external outcomes. Everything you want is already seeking you. It is already on its way. Your job is not to chase, but to prepare, to nurture, to be the person who can receive it fully when it arrives. Step into this space of freedom and watch the paradox unfold. The less you need, the the more everything you have ever wanted begins to arrive effortlessly, because life responds not to the emptiness of need, but to the fullness of being. If you like, I can next expand key point 2 in the same 750 word, seamless, motivational style, keeping it flowing naturally from this first segment. Do you want me to do that? There is a misconception that happiness, fulfillment, or success exists somewhere outside of ourselves, waiting to be obtained. We look to achievements, relationships, possessions, or recognition as if they are containers that will hold the sense of completeness we so desperately seek. And yet, the truth is far simpler and far more profound. Nothing external can make you whole. Wholeness is not found in circumstances, it is cultivated within. When you understand this, a remarkable shift occurs. The moment you recognize that your sense of completeness does not depend on what you have or what you achieve, you step into a power that the world cannot take from you. To cultivate inner completeness, we begin with presence. We learn to inhabit our own being fully, without distraction or denial. So often, we live as if parts of ourselves are insufficient, as if some fragment of our identity must be completed by others or by experiences. This creates a subtle emptiness, a quiet ache that drives our seeking. But the awakening comes when you decide to nourish yourself from the inside out. When you embrace your strengths, acknowledge your vulnerabilities, and accept every aspect of your existence, you generate a sense of fullness that is unshakable. You do not need validation from outside, because you have validated yourself. You do not need the world to give you meaning, because you have claimed it within. Self-sufficiency in this sense is not isolation or arrogance. It is a deep, internal security, a trust in your own capacity to handle life. When you feel whole, your actions are no longer driven by desperation or fear. They come from alignment, from a place of confidence and integrity. You contribute to the world, not to fill a void, but because you have something abundant to give. And here lies the beauty: when you operate from completeness, the universe responds. Opportunities, relationships, and experiences that resonate with your true self begin to appear naturally. The external world becomes a reflection of your inner abundance, rather than a measure of your lack. The practice of cultivating inner completeness requires attention and commitment. It begins with self-awareness, observing your thoughts, noticing your emotional responses, and understanding the patterns that have shaped your desires and fears. Meditation, journaling, reflection. These are not merely exercises, they are the tools through which you reconnect with yourself. In these moments, you learn to listen to your own voice above the noise of external expectations. You begin to understand that the person you have been waiting for, the source of comfort, inspiration, and guidance, has always been inside you. From this space, you also learn to release dependency. You stop attaching your happiness to the approval of others, to the acquisition of things, or to specific life circumstances. The need for external validation diminishes because your inner landscape is rich and fertile. You create a reservoir of contentment that is untouchable by setbacks, rejections, or delays. And paradoxically, when you no longer need others to complete you, your connections with them deepen. Relationships flourish because they are chosen freely, not pursued out of necessity. Collaboration, love, and friendship become acts of joy rather than transactions of need. Cultivating inner completeness also allows you to embrace imperfection. You realize that wholeness is not about being flawless, but about being fully present with all that you are. Each flaw, each scar, each failure is integrated into your sense of self, contributing to your unique essence. When you accept yourself in this way, the pressure to conform to external standards or to constantly achieve diminishes. Life becomes a canvas on which you paint your own story, guided by authenticity rather than obligation. And in this space of completeness, something extraordinary happens. Desire transforms. You no longer seek to fill a void. You seek to expand, to grow, to explore the infinite possibilities that life offers. Your goals and ambitions are no longer desperate pleas for validation, but expressions of your inherent abundance. You attract experiences and opportunities that are in alignment with your whole self, not as a remedy for lack, but as a natural extension of who you already are. The moment you embrace inner completeness, you shift the way you move through life. You move with confidence, not arrogance, with curiosity, not desperation, with openness, not fear. You understand that fulfillment is not something to chase or earn. It is something to embody. And in embodying it, you set in motion a force that draws to you all that you have ever wanted, effortlessly and naturally. Because the world responds not to the emptiness you project, but to the fullness you carry. If you want, I can next expand key point 3, trusting the universe's timing in the same 750-word style, so the speech maintains a seamless, flowing narrative. Life has a rhythm, a cadence that is far greater than our limited understanding. We are often impatient, believing that if something does not happen according to our schedule, it will never happen at all. We glance at the clock of our lives and feel pressure to achieve, to arrive, to obtain, as if time itself owes us. And yet, the truth is that the universe does not operate on our timetable. It moves with a precision and intelligence that we cannot always perceive, unfolding events in perfect sequence, bringing the right people, opportunities, and experiences to us at exactly the right moment. When we fight this rhythm, when we try to force outcomes, we encounter resistance. Doors stay closed, relationships falter, progress feels slow. We experience frustration because we are attempting to outrun a process that cannot be rushed. The universe is not late, it is simply waiting for the alignment of all necessary elements. Every delay, every pause, every moment of waiting carries within it a lesson, an adjustment, or a preparation that we cannot always see in real time. Trusting this timing requires a deep surrender. A surrender not of action, but of control. This does not mean inaction. It does not mean passive waiting or resignation. It means moving forward from a place of faith, of confidence in the unseen, of patience that is active, not stagnant. We act, we create, we prepare, but we do so without the anxiety of forcing results. We plant seeds, nourish them, and trust that they will blossom in their own season. It is the difference between planting a tree and constantly digging it up to check if it has grown. Growth cannot be rushed. Timing cannot be controlled. But when we respect the natural unfolding, we witness a kind of magic that is impossible to manufacture. Part of trusting timing is learning to observe the signs and the rhythms within your own life. Opportunities may appear, only to fade, not because they are lost, but because they were not yet ripe. People may enter your life briefly, teaching you lessons, shaping your path, and then leave, making space for the connections that are truly meant to remain. Sometimes what appears as delay is actually preparation, giving you time to build resilience, clarity, and strength so that when the moment comes you are fully ready to receive it. Patience, in this sense, becomes a skill, a discipline of the soul. It is cultivated not through mere waiting, but through presence, through attention to what you can do in the now. The person who trusts timing does not waste energy on worry or control. They invest energy in growth, learning, and alignment. They understand that the universe's timing is precise, and they choose to synchronize with it rather than resist it. They move in harmony with life's currents, riding the waves instead of struggling against them. There is also a subtle, but profound, understanding embedded in trusting timing, that everything is interconnected. Every setback, every detour, every delay carries meaning. Nothing occurs in isolation. The challenges you face today are shaping the opportunities of tomorrow. The people you meet, even for a fleeting moment, are part of a network of influence that will eventually guide you to exactly what you need. When you trust this, you release fear, you release impatience. You release the constant questioning of why and when, replacing it with faith in the invisible orchestration of life. This trust transforms the way we experience waiting. Waiting becomes not a period of lack, but a space of preparation. We learn to live fully in the present while simultaneously trusting in the unfolding of the future. We recognize that timing is not a limitation, but a design. The universe does not rush because it never forgets. It does not delay because it is never mistaken. And when we align ourselves with this truth, we move through life with serenity and clarity, knowing that every moment is exactly as it should be, and every arrival will come precisely when we are ready to receive it. Ultimately, trusting timing allows us to cultivate a deep sense of peace and freedom. We no longer live in anxiety, constantly pushing, forcing, or controlling. We no longer judge ourselves or our circumstances as too slow or too unfair. We begin to understand that our journey is not about speed, but about alignment, growth, and readiness. And in this surrender, life flows to us in ways we could never orchestrate, bringing not only what we want, but what we truly need when we are ready to embrace it fully. Because the universe's timing is perfect, even when we cannot yet see the pattern. If you want, I can now expand key point 4. Detachment as empowerment in the same 750-word, seamless style, keeping the speech cohesive and flowing naturally from this section. Detachment is a concept that is often misunderstood. Many hear the word and imagine coldness, indifference, or a withdrawal from life. But true detachment is none of these things. It is not about avoiding love, ambition, or desire. It is about freedom. The freedom to engage fully with life without being imprisoned by the outcomes of our actions or the expectations of others. When we detach, we release the chains of need, the weight of desperation, and the pressure of constant control. Detachment allows us to move through the world with clarity, grace, and an unshakable sense of inner strength. When you are attached to an outcome, your energy becomes rigid. You focus on what must happen, and your mind tightens around a narrow vision. You worry, you overthink, and you struggle to make life bend to your will. In that tension, the very things you desire can slip away, because the universe cannot respond to fear and desperation in the same way it responds to calm, intention, and alignment. True empowerment comes when you shift your focus from what must happen to the quality of the energy you bring to the process. When you act from detachment, you are fully present, fully engaged, yet free from the bondage of expectation. Detachment does not mean you stop caring. On the contrary, it means you care deeply, but without making your sense of peace dependent on external circumstances. You invest your time, your creativity, your passion, and your love, but you do so without the anxiety of needing a specific result. This shift transforms the way you experience every aspect of life. Relationships become healthier because you are not holding others hostage with need or control. Work becomes more inspired because your focus is on excellence and alignment rather than proving your worth. Life itself becomes lighter, more expansive, and more rewarding because you are no longer drained by the weight of attachment. The process of cultivating detachment begins with awareness. You must notice where in your life you are clinging, whether it is to people, outcomes, material possessions, or even your own identity. Observe the thoughts, emotions, and behaviors that arise when things do not go as you wish. In these moments, ask yourself, am I engaging fully, or am I grasping? Am I allowing life to flow, or am I trying to force it into a mold of my own making? These reflections are not judgments, they are invitations to greater freedom, to release the need that limits you. Detachment is also a practice of trust. When you let go of rigid expectations, you are saying, in essence, I trust the process of life. I trust that what is meant for me will find me. I trust that I am capable of navigating whatever comes my way. This trust is empowering. It liberates you from fear, doubt, and the compulsive need to control. You begin to move with confidence, knowing that your worth and your fulfillment are not tied to outcomes, but to your own alignment and presence. Paradoxically, detachment increases your ability to achieve your goals. The more you release the obsession with a specific result, the more creative and effective your actions become. When your mind is free from the weight of need, you see possibilities that were previously invisible. You respond to challenges with clarity rather than anxiety. You make decisions from intuition and insight rather than compulsion. The energy you radiate is magnetic. It draws opportunities, resources, and people into your life naturally, effortlessly, without the struggle of trying to force them. Detachment also teaches resilience. Life is unpredictable. Circumstances shift, people change, and outcomes often differ from what we imagined. When we are attached, these changes can feel like disasters, shaking the foundations of our sense of self. But when we are detached, we understand that our well-being does not depend on permanence. We flow with change rather than resist it, adapt without losing our center, and embrace uncertainty as a space for growth, creativity, and new possibilities. Ultimately, detachment is a liberation of the spirit. It is the realization that your inner completeness, your peace, and your power do not rely on the external world. It is the courage to let life unfold without fear, the wisdom to act with intention without clinging, and the grace to receive whatever comes with gratitude. When you embody detachment, you are free to live fully, to love deeply, and to create fearlessly, because you are no longer bound by the need to control, to possess, or to demand. And in this freedom, you discover a truth that transforms everything. The less you grasp, the more life flows to you. If you want, I can now expand key point 5, the role of self-awareness, into the same 750-word, seamless, motivational style, keeping the speech cohesive and flowing naturally. Self-awareness is the cornerstone of freedom. It is the lens through which we begin to understand why we desire, why we resist, and why we sometimes feel incomplete. Without self-awareness, we move through life unconsciously, repeating patterns that do not serve us, reacting to circumstances rather than choosing our responses. Our thoughts, emotions, and behaviors often operate on autopilot, driven by old conditioning, fear, or the need for approval. The first step to stepping off this treadmill is noticing. To become aware of our inner world is to begin reclaiming power over it. When you cultivate self-awareness, you start to see the subtle motivations behind your actions. You observe the impulses that arise, the moments when your mind tightens around worry, and the patterns that pull you toward longing or desperation. These observations are not for self-criticism. They are acts of insight, acts of compassion toward yourself. By noticing without judgment, you create space between your reactions and your choices. You begin to realize that you are not your thoughts or your emotions. You are the observer, the conscious presence that can choose how to respond. And in that space, freedom begins. Self-awareness also illuminates the unconscious forces that shape our desires. Often, we chase goals, possessions, or relationships without truly understanding why. We are driven by invisible narratives formed in childhood, by societal conditioning, or by fears we have never faced. When we examine these influences, we uncover the hidden drivers behind our craving. Why do we need this? What are we hoping to prove or avoid? What do we imagine will make us whole? These questions, when approached honestly, allow us to see the difference between a true aspiration and a need born of lack. And when we align with authentic desire, life flows more effortlessly. Practicing self-awareness requires courage. It asks us to sit with our discomfort, to face the aspects of ourselves we would rather ignore. It asks us to notice when we are projecting our insecurities onto others, or when we are creating stories of scarcity and limitation. Yet in this courageous examination, we find liberation. We discover that the mind, when observed, loses its grip on us. Emotions, when witnessed, no longer dictate our behavior. Patterns, when recognized, can be transformed. Self-awareness is not an endpoint, it is a practice, a lifelong journey of noticing, reflecting, and choosing consciously rather than reacting unconsciously. This practice also deepens our connection to the present moment. The more aware we are of our internal state, the less we are consumed by worries about the future or regrets about the past. We begin to see how much energy is wasted in thoughts of what might or what should have been. And in that clarity, we reclaim our attention for what truly matters. The actions we take now, the presence we bring to our relationships, the alignment we cultivate within ourselves. Awareness transforms life from a reaction to a creation. Moreover, self-awareness strengthens our relationships and interactions. When we understand our own patterns and motivations, we stop projecting our fears or expectations onto others. We become capable of empathy, of truly seeing and listening, because we are grounded in our own understanding. Detachment, trust, and inner completeness all become more accessible because we are conscious of the subtle ways in which need, expectation, and unconscious longing operate within us. We respond rather than react, and in doing so we create harmony, influence, and positive energy that attracts the experiences and people that resonate with our authentic self. Self-awareness is also intimately connected to freedom from desire. The more we understand ourselves, the less we are swept away by unconscious cravings. Desire becomes a tool, a compass pointing us toward growth and purpose, rather than a chain that binds us to anxiety or lack. We can observe what we want without needing it desperately. We can engage with life fully, but with an inner calm that does not hinge on specific outcomes. Awareness transforms desire into choice, and choice is the essence of empowerment. Ultimately, cultivating self-awareness is about reclaiming your life from unconscious patterns and external pressures. It is about seeing clearly, feeling deeply, and acting intentionally. It is about learning to navigate the currents of your own mind with presence, clarity, and grace. And in this practice, a remarkable truth emerges. The more aware you become, the less you are controlled by need, the more you are aligned with life's flow, and the more effortlessly everything you desire begins to manifest. Because when you know yourself fully, you are no longer a seeker, you are a beacon. If you like, I can next expand key point 6 flow and alignment in the same 750-word seamless, motivational style to complete the final segment of the speech. Flow and alignment are the culmination of all the principles we have explored, the place where inner completeness, detachment, trust, and self-awareness converge into effortless manifestation. Flow is not something you chase, it is something you enter. It is the natural state of being that arises when resistance falls away, when the mind is calm, the heart is open, and your actions are in harmony with the rhythm of life. Alignment is the conscious cultivation of that state. It is choosing to move in accordance with your true nature, with your values, your strengths, and your deepest aspirations. Together, flow and alignment transform life from a struggle into a dance, a journey of ease, creativity, and fulfillment. When you are aligned, you no longer expend energy trying to make life conform to your demands. You no longer wrestle with circumstances, relationships, or outcomes. Instead, you move with intention, guided by a sense of purpose and a deep trust in the process of life. Opportunities that once seemed scarce appear with ease, solutions emerge naturally, and your interactions with others are effortless. The world begins to mirror the inner harmony you have cultivated. This is not coincidence, it is the law of resonance.